I can get the TV fixed.
Yeah.
All right, folks. And gentlemen,
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
thank everybody for coming out here tonight. First nice evening we've had. I'm sure we all like to be sitting on a deck eating a hamburger. We do have a quorum. We're missing Mr. Jones. He had a mild agricultural accident this afternoon. He may show up, but he's being taken care of. So we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Morrison.
Let's go to the Lord's Prayer. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for Team Amelia, the team that includes the board, the staff, volunteers, citizens, and so many more that help Amelia be Amelia, past, present, and future. Thank you for the beautiful weather and for all in attendance tonight and watching online. And Lord, tonight starts the beginning of a new era for Amelia. There has been a lot of work and a lot of prayers put in to what is about to take place tonight and for the future of this county. Lord, I pray that the decisions made tonight are your will and anointed with your blessings and support as we decide and vote on who you want to be our next county administrator. Lord, I lift up this person to you. Guide him, watch over, protect him, grant him wisdom and patience, knowledge, confidence, and understanding, and the peace as he uproots his family to become the newest member of Team Amelia. I also lift up his family as they face these changes, as they transition, they have to adapt. Thank you for sending them to us, Lord, and thank you for all those who had a part in getting them there. Lord, thank you for Mr. Money for what he has done to help prepare us for this new beginning. Bless his remaining weeks we get to work with him and for his future endeavors. Lord, I lift up this meeting. May it be smooth, united, positive, productive. And Lord, also lift up two fellow board members, Mr. Rourke and Nottaway, who suffered a major medical emergency several weeks ago and now slowly recovering. And Dexter, who's had a minor farming accident today. I pray for their quick healing and return back to the board. And lastly, I pray for traveling mercies as we leave here tonight. As you think, really precious name.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Good job, Mr. Morse. Yes, he does. That's the only thing he's good at.
All right, gentlemen. Moves us to the agenda. Any items that need to be added? Or can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Easter. Motion on the floor to approve the agenda as presented. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Same thing for the consent agenda. Anybody have any questions of anything that's on the consent agenda?
One thing, I maybe read over them just so people know what's going on, but if that's okay.
All right,
I mean, just so people know what's upcoming and.
that's fine. It's been posted on the website, so
Okay.
you can read it if you want. Well, I can read it.
I just thought,
You want me to read
we originally decided on this consent that we would at least.
it? All right. On the consent agenda, there is a special event permit for Amelia Day with the road closure enclosed. Amelia County Fair, RGA Juneteenth, Community Barn Bash, a reappointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals, reappointment to the Board of Zoning. The last one was the local Board of Zoning. Community Policy Management Team appointment, interim county administrator work order, and declaration of surplus property through the Historical Society.
Second.
All right, motion on the floor to accept the consent agenda, which also includes the regular meetings, minutes.
one quick comment on that. I do just want to point out that there was an adjustment to the road closure order for Amelia Day. So that is an approval for the adjusted road closure
Yes.
that was added to our packet at the last minute.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks for being.
Yes, sir. Mr. Money, do you have any update on the report on the county administrator search before I open my remarks?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, other than it's been an honor working with the board in this process. I've been blessed to travel around the Commonwealth for several years, doing these jobs on an interim basis. And I will have to say that your search was one of the smoothest that I've worked through. I was really amazed at how good the board was in unison in making its decision and also debating the candidates to get to the right choice. I praise your work ethic and your commitment to seeing the process through. And I stand behind the choice that you made. I think it'll be a very good move on behalf of Amelia County, and I look for good things to come from the new leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Monday. I got a statement I want to read. The day-to-day operations of the county are managed by the county administrator, who is appointed by this board of supervisors. This position is paramount in working closely with the board to initiate our policies through our dedicated department managers, county employees, and as a liaison with our constitutional officers. The county administrator serves as a point of contact with our citizens and is an ambassador of the county with our regional partners and state and federal officials. The board hired the Berkeley Group, a Virginia firm, who serves as a resource to local governments to provide interim management services to guide the board through recruitment process for full-time county administrator. Mr. Monday came to the county in mid-August and has faithfully worked diligently as our interim county administrator. We as a board want to publicly thank Mr. Monday for his dedicated service and professional guidance during this leadership transition. He will continue serving until the new county administrator arrives. The Berkeley Group provided an experienced recruitment team consisting of Doug Walker, Ken Venom, both of whom are retired Virginia managers, who spearheaded the process to identify a pool of qualified candidates that closely meet the needs of Amelia County. All of the board members were active and engaged in the process and participated in multiple meetings with recruiters to make sure we selected the right person for this important job. After reviewing the qualifications of 15 candidates that applied, the board narrowed the field to 4 individuals for further screening. Each candidate traveled to the county and was given a guided tour by our very own Director of Public Works and Emergency Management. Interviews were conducted by the entire board, sitting together as a group, with extensive time spent during multiple interview questions and scenarios. Additional time was allotted at the end of the interview to make sure we were fully engaged to the candidates understand their fit for Amelia County. Background screening results, credential verification, and references were reviewed by the board. Following this board process, we as a board noticed that although every candidate could have done the job, there was clearly one individual that stood out as highly qualified and well-suited to lead the county at this time and into the future. And to our citizens, please know that your Board of Supervisors, all of them, were unified, diligent, and fully committed to getting this decision right to get to where we are tonight. Here we go. Would like to entertain a motion to approve the agreement with the new county administrator.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the chairman to execute an employment agreement with Eric S. Pollard as county administrator with the April 14th, 2025 start date.
Thank you, Mr. Robert. There's a motion on the floor to execute the employment agreement with Mr. Pollard. Is there any more discussion? Before I call for the vote, Mr. Pollock has served as a management and analysis in Fluvanna County, Virginia, worked as a town manager in Glasgow, Virginia, and is currently served as a town manager in Tappahannock, Virginia, where he has worked for the past 4 years. He earned a master's degree in public administration from the University of Kentucky with a concentration in public financial management. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree from VCU with a major in political science and minor in economics. Eric is a member of both the Virginia Local Government Management Association and the International City County Management Association. He is also a certified zoning official. Thank you, gentlemen. I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the motion on the floor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Pollock. Welcome and thank you. Wait a minute. Welcome and thank you for taking the time to be here tonight in person for this exciting announcement. We look forward to working with you, and you have the floor for a few words.
I'm not big on speeches, so thank y'all for having me, and thank y'all for your confidence. And I know I'm going to deliver for you guys, and we're going to exceed as a community and move the community forward into the future. So look forward to working with y'all and working with everyone here, and looking forward to being part of the community as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
At this time, we're gonna take about a 10-minute recess for the photo ops and let him meet a few folks, and then we'll continue on with the meeting shortly. Right now, we're in recess. right, gentlemen. We're back in open session. Thank you all. Thank everybody's commitment to getting this task done. It took a lot to get us here. All right, well, that's this time. I open the public comment. If you want to speak about anything that's not on the agenda, we have a couple of public hearings tonight. Feel free to come up, state your name and address. Try to keep it to 3 minutes or so.
Bobby Lipes, 1600 Richmond Road. Just I know that y'all getting ready to get into big time into the budgets and all of this time of the year again. And I'm sure that y'all are aware of everything I'm going to say. But just as from my point of view, we're going to be dealing with a lot of stuff. And one of the biggest things that we deal with in the budget is school, which year after year, we still deal with that situation. There's a lot changing from the top down now, as far as federal government, state government, county responsibilities, the different things that the school can and can't do. That's changing. The whole environment's changing. And with that, I personally feel like that I don't want to see the county taxpayers get caught on the hook for something that doesn't get changed, it should be changed. And I'm speaking about the DEI in the schools. I know you go hear that's not happening here, but it is happening here and it has been happening here. And the thing is going to be, there's going to be a cut from the federal budget that's coming down, that schools won't get the money that they've been getting from the federal. Yeah, the state says that they're picking up on some of the differences, but that's neither here nor there as far as what the outcome is going to be, because it's still shaking. The biggest thing that bothers me is we're, as a country, when it comes to education, we're 40th in ranking as far as decent quality education in the world with other countries. 40th for this country for what we spend on education. And not only that, you go down the list a little bit, Virginia is one of the lowest rated states in education in the United States. But we spend more money per capita per child in education than most other countries do on any of the children in school, and more than most of the states do in the United States. But still, we have kids coming out of school that they know how to deal with their feelings and emotions and all of this good stuff, but you don't know how to do math, they don't know how to do science, the history, the subjects that they should know about in order to progress in this world. Personally, I would like to see that the board step up and be accountable for the fact that when all this changes comes down, there's going to be penalties to schools that don't abide by the rules and stuff that's been presented by today's administration. And personally, I don't want to be a taxpayer on the hook bailing out a school system. We've already been doing that over the years. I think it's time for them to step up and be more accountable for what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lipes.
Good evening. Jay Rouse, 17341 Poorhouse Road. I just want to thank you all for approving the permit for the county fair. And just want to share with you that we got a lot of exciting things going on at the fair this year. We've added a thrill show. There's going to be a pageant this year, cowboy circus, a magic show. Saturday is going to have a demolition derby, which is a big undertaking for us. So a lot of exciting things going on at the fair, and appreciate you all approving the permit and getting things underway. And you'll be continuing to hear a lot about the fair. And Mr. Chairman, you ask me every year, what's the theme? And the last couple of years, we haven't had one, but we've had some new volunteers and some new energy to the fair committee, which is pretty exciting. And one of them suggested this year's theme, which is denim jeans and country dreams. So hope you all be joining us.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Groves. Anybody else? All right, I'll close the public comment. Ms. Worley?
Good evening. To provide an update on our area headquarters monthly activities, they have regraded a couple gravel roads, Beaver Pond Creek Road and also Obslow Lane, which was a request at last month's meeting. Both of those have been completed. They've also continued to remove brush from the latest winter storm when we had lots of trees down. That's an ongoing effort to remove all of that debris following that event. And pothole patching. That's really our primary focus for the foreseeable future is potholes and tree debris throughout the county, getting those cleaned up after the winter weather. For traffic studies and special request, farm equipment signage has been ordered for Reed Rock, Genito, and Philipsbridge roads, and we'll get those installed as soon as we receive that order. Route 38 and 614 Dennisville intersection. We've marked some trees for removal at that corner to increase the sight distance at the intersection. That was a request at last month's meeting as well. And we'll have our contractor do that the next time we have them working to remove trees. Provided right-of-way data for the intersection of Route 360 and 153 at the request of Mr. Robinson. And one additional note that wasn't in the report is that we're currently reviewing a request to potentially take a private road into the state system. So we'll review that and see if it qualifies and provide information on what we find out from that review. For construction, the pre-construction meeting has been held for the upcoming surface treatment schedule for this season. And the construction manager has reported that the first thing that you'll see in Amelia is pavement marking eradication, and that is scheduled to begin next month. So those are all the updates I have this month, unless you all have any questions for me.
I want to thank you for the snow removal. I got a few calls, whatever. Y'all got to everybody as quick as you could. And everybody, the fire department was out there cutting trees. Everybody was out. I think we all pulled together and got where people could get around.
Yeah, great.
Hopefully we don't have any more snow.
Yes, I agree. Greatly appreciate it. We know there were lots of citizens and Good Samaritans who were out cutting trees during the storm as well. So appreciate everyone's efforts.
I want to thank you for the pothole repair. It was getting bad down in our neck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, the nature of the freeze thaw from all the winter weather. So
If, sorry, would it pleases the board, you want to move the road sign discussion up while Miss Worley is there and then she can leave for the evening?
We can.
And keeping her here to the end?
She loves the talk.
I would be happy to stay if you'd like me to stay, but I will not argue.
Well, I think it's going to need a little bit. Let me find it. I should have been more prepared. I apologize.
Yeah, Mr.
It's not
Chairman,
in
it's,
there.
it's not in the packet.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay.
That was last month.
Yeah.
Discussion, yeah.
That's right.
That helps me a whole lot then. I think with the discussion that Mr. Robinson had, we were looking to move forward with kind of looking over Chesterfield's sign ordinance and bringing that back to the next meeting. Do you have any specific questions for Ms. Worley?
No, I mean, we had talked back and forth, getting some distances and all that, so I think we're pretty clear.
Okay, so we're good to in March, staff can come back with a recommendation. It'll be similar to what Chesterfield has, if not pretty close.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, what we would do would work with Ms. Worley to make sure we have the process down for considering that. And then we'll work with the county attorney's office and make sure we bring it to you when all that's ready. But we'll get to work on it tomorrow, and Ms. Worley, either Ashley or I will give you a call to talk about the next steps.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, we have kind of a standard agreement that we use, so happy to send that information and talk through it.
Okay. All right, well, that takes one thing off the agenda, and Ms. Worley can have a nice evening.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Mr. Trump?
Good evening. Dr. Harper can't be with us this evening, but she asked me to share her regular reports as well. Enrollment for the end of January, K-12 enrollment was 1511, pre-K through 12 enrollment was 1583, and ADM was 1515. February is School Board Appreciation Month. At the February meeting, school board members, our student representatives to the school board, and our board clerks were all recognized. Also during the meeting, presentations were provided on student data snapshots, and an update on the comprehensive school counseling program was given as well. In your packets, you have the January financial reports. To be meeting our goals, operating revenues and expenditures should be at about 51.6%. We are very close to that figure at 49.87%. In the textbook fund, expenditures remain at 4.07%. Funds 4 and 5 for all-in and construction are at 38.86% and 2.35% respectively. In the cafeteria fund, expenditures are at 33.24%. I want to personally thank the board for hearing our presentation on the FY26 budget proposal for Amelia County Public Schools yesterday morning. As I shared yesterday, increased communication and improved relationships have made this a smoother process this budget cycle. And the next items on our school's budget calendar is the presentation of the proposed FY26 budget to the school board for approval at their next regular meeting on March 10th. With the state budget passed in the legislature and without major signals of coming changes from the governor's office to the state budget, we do anticipate moving forward with that action on that date. With Ms. Youssef and RFC up next on the agenda as well after this, I also want to take this opportunity to thank them for their hard work on the county audit and their exceptional patience with me throughout this process. This is my third year in this role. But as I talked about, improved communication with the board in some ways, improved communication with county finance has been amazing this last year. This was my first year with higher level input into the development of our budget. Development of our audit and those processes. And it did come at a bit of a learning curve on my part. And I want to thank RFC and Ms. Youssef specifically for tolerating that and having patience with me as I learned through those things. So I appreciate y'all. If you have any more questions, please let me know.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, is Pawn on for the audit and the financial report, meaning the audit report? Hello, Pawn. Is she going first?
Hello,
or is
Mr.
it-
Chairman. I will turn over to Mike Lumpton to present the audit for the year. Thank you.
Thank you.
All yours.
Great, thank you, Pon, and Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for having me this evening. If I may, I'm going to share my screen to show, let's see, this is a different, here we go, perfect. To show the audit report. All right, so you'll see the cover of the annual financial report for the County of Amelia for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2024. Before we get into this, of course, as Pon mentioned, my name is Michael Lupton. I am the partner in charge of the Amelia County Audit, and I've had the pleasure of working with county staff, including Mr. Monday, Pon Youssef, and Daniel Trump at the school board this year and getting the FY24 audit complete. I'm very pleased to report that, you know, with this team effort amongst everybody that I just named and everybody else in the county finance and treasurer's office and other county staff, we were able to issue our report 3 months earlier this year as compared to the prior year. So that certainly is a positive look on the FY24 audit. But I will certainly start with our opinion on the audit. Before I get into our opinion, I want to, denote the distinction between management's responsibility and the responsibility of us as the auditors. Management is responsible for the financial statements that are presented. They are also responsible for the fair presentation of the financial statements in the form that is presented. In addition to that, they're responsible for maintaining a system of internal controls conducive to the fair presentation of the financial statements, and ultimately to accept responsibility of the financial statements that are issued. Our responsibility as auditors is to render an opinion on the financial statements upon performing and completing the audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. We do perform an assessment of the internal controls. We don't provide an opinion on the effectiveness of the controls. However, if we encounter any deficiencies in the control environment that we deem to be significant or material, we're required to convey those to you. And we did this year identify a deficiency that we deem to be significant, and that is related to material audit adjustments as proposed as part of the audit process. And I will say that the majority of the audit or the proposed audit adjustments were from the period under the prior financial director. So they were correcting issues from the prior administration that were necessary to correct to get the financial statements in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. But with that, we did issue an opinion on the financial statements in general, and you'll see on that first page there, that is an unmodified opinion. Unmodified is also known as a clean opinion. It is the best opinion that we can offer, and what it means is that the financial statements as presented are materially correct in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Move to another item in the report, and this is just highlighting management's discussion and analysis. This is a nice narrative summary of the happenings in the fiscal year. And so I always recommend that if you only have a few minutes to review this document, start here, because this is the most bang for your buck. This provides the most information in a shorter amount of digestible pages. Moving to a couple other financial statement metrics here, I'm going to move to Exhibit 3, which is the balance sheet for the governmental funds. As you can see, the governmental funds, which includes the general fund, county capital projects fund, and also other governmental funds, had total assets of about $24.3 million at June 30, 2024. Total liabilities of about $3.4 million. And fund balances that consisted of restricted, committed, and unassigned fund balances of about $19.85 million. The unassigned fund balance being about $5.3 million, again, as of June 30, 2024. The next statement to draw to your attention is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances for the fiscal year. Again, this is just for the governmental funds. So that is, again, the general, the county capital projects, and other governmental funds. You'll see total governmental revenues of about $28.5 million. Total governmental expenditures of about $28.8 million, for a decrease before transfers of about $278,000. After transfers, which included transfers out of about $1.5 million, there's a total decrease in the fund balance as of for fiscal year ended June 30, 2024 of about $729,000. Okay, the next financial statement to draw to your attention is the statement of net position for the proprietary funds, and this is the sanitary district fund. You can see here that total assets was about $6.1 million. A majority of that is related to capital assets, as you can see right above that. There were total current liabilities of about 180,000 and total non-current liabilities of about 1.38 million, making total liabilities of about 1.56 million. The ending net position for the proprietary fund, the sanitary district fund, was right at 4.5 million as of June 30, 2024. And looking at the statement of revenues and expenses and changes in the net position of the sanitary district fund, you'll see total operating revenue of about 569,000, total operating expenses of about 710,000 for an operating loss of about 141,000. Now, it's important to note that these operating activities includes depreciation expense, which is mainly just a book expense. It is not a cash outflow. It is the depreciation of already, purchased and acquired assets that are held in capital form in the sanitary district fund. Non-operating expenses include the interest expense on debt service and transfers in of about 458,000, and that's from the governmental funds, for a total increase in net position of about 265,000. Okay, the next financial statement to draw to your attention is Exhibit 12, and this is your general fund budget to actual. This is in summarized form. There are other detailed schedules, schedules 1 and 2, farther later on in the report that provide more details to these summarized items. But for purposes of this conversation, the summarized form here, you will see that total revenues exceeded the budget amount by about 227,000. Total expenditures were under the budget amount by about 1.9 million. So a positive excess of revenues over expenditures for the budget side of about 2.1 million. And finally, draw to your attention the schedule of findings and question costs. Each organization, whether that be a local government, a nonprofit, an authority, a board, a commission, what have you, each organization that expends more than $750,000 of federal awards in a given year is required to undergo a single audit, and that's the audit of federal programs. For the fiscal year ended June 30, 2024, we single audited the Community Facilities Loans and Grants Program, the ARPA funds, Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, and the Education Stabilization Fund for the county. And I'm pleased to report that there were no instances of non-compliance when performing the single audit of these federal programs. So with that, I open up the floor to you all for any comments or questions that you have for me.
Thank you, Mr. Lupton.
Yes, sir.
A lot of information. Has any board members got any questions? Comments?
Just thankful for your time and attention to this. As you said, it's progress, but we know we're not there yet.
Anything? Todd? You have anything to add, Mr. Mundy?
No, sir. Nothing to add. I know this is a very daunting process to do an audit. I get questions all the time of why does an audit take so long? Well, if you look at how many pages is in the audit, there's many, many worksheets and a lot of time, a lot of trips the auditors have to make out to work with the county staff. And I do appreciate Ms. Youssef in coordinating the audit, working with Ms. Wright in the finance department, and you, Mr. Lupton, for giving us your guidance and input. I know we've been running some new ideas by you and talking about some changes to our internal control processes. And we're going to roll out one of those policies tonight, later in Ms. Youssef's report. And won't be long. We'll be starting this process again for another fiscal year in the prep work that usually starts in the month of April for the year that we're in now. So more fun coming in the near future.
It seems like it gets here quicker every year. All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Thank you,
Cheers,
Michael. Good night.
It's Pond, go take it from here.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sure.
How you doing tonight?
Very good. Nice to be back. Hello, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Mr. Monday. I will be very short and sweet today. I have a few updates to provide. Good segue into the first policy, one of many, accounts payable. There is no board action required, just for your information only. So each month thereafter, I will try to bring my very best, one policy per month. The policy is good to have address recommended internal controls to strengthen control processes and to leverage added existing resources to maintain and to implement any processes that we have recently developed. With that said, the next item on my update is FY26 budget update. Yesterday, we had a very good and effective first budget session. The next one will be coming up. I believe it was scheduled for March 11. In that session, for public records, we will be discussing expenditures from departmental requests. Yesterday, the first session, we discussed at length FY26 revenue estimate. All the changes have been incorporated. Soon I will be sharing a copy with the board. Since we extensively discussed yesterday FY25 leading into FY26 with the new budget year, I will not be discussing or covering any in detail any monthly financial for the month. Everything came in as it should, so there is nothing out of ordinary. The last item on my update is on appropriations. So for this month, we received 5 different items from Sheriff's Office. Again, this is for information only to the board. No action required at this time. For further details, they are located on page 329. Finance staff had addressed all of the items that need to be adjusted. Thank you very much. Unless you have questions for me, I'm done.
Thank you, Pond. I know you've been busy getting us ready for budget season. We certainly appreciate all the
You're
all the help.
welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I just specifically want to thank you for the update on the accounts payable policy. And as you said, bringing forward one policy per month going forward. I think that's a really specific example of the type change that we need. I know it took a long, you've been so focused on getting things cleaned up. And then as David just said, working us through the budget cycle that's coming up. But I think working through those, putting new processes in place, and I know it helps now that we have an additional staff member as well. I think that's definitely the type of thing that we need for our long-term process management. So especially want to call that out, appreciative. And I think that will be something that ultimately the citizens will benefit from. And again, is extremely necessary too.
Thank you.
Okay. And y'all see the appropriations that we don't have to take any action on, the amounts?
They're just moving because they're just moving. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good process change too. If it's not new money, if it's just moving from account to account.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we do that to be fully transparent with our citizens and also the board. And those are simply grant reimbursements, it's overtime reimbursement and insurance reimbursement. And of course, the budget resolution that the county has is a very good document. It gives the staff a lot of latitude, so we don't have to come to the board for every little decision. It speeds up our internal processes, and we do it just to keep you aware that the sheriff stays on top of those and ensures that he gets in every dollar that he can to offset the cost to our citizens.
Yep. All right, we'll move on. Activities and committee reports. I started off, I said most of mine were snow days. But we have been quite busy here in this week. Mr. Moore? Mr. Easton?
A lot of the, yeah, they kind of backed up a lot. I would just point out one quick thing, following up on our meeting from Monday. Oh, backing up. From Monday, we talked about the request from community college, and that being of course, a very small amount, but value back to the community. Just today, community college then sponsored the upcoming barn bash that will be after the tractor parade. And that's a $250 sponsorship. It doesn't take but a couple times of them giving like that back to the community, and then they're giving more to the community than what we're doing. So that was a good example of one that we talked about on Monday, where we see the funds flow back through in other ways too. So just wanted to mention that one from one of my committees.
Thank you. Mr. Robinson?
I couldn't tell you what I did all this week. It's been a blur. It's every day. I got one more meeting tomorrow.
It's been busy.
Yeah.
And you ran a fire. You helped on a brush fire back.
That's a long time ago. That was last month.
All right, well, we'll move on. Community development. Got a rezoning request from R1 to B1. Is Michael Hayes?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Chair and supervisors. So this first item on your agenda is a rezoning as well as a use not provided for application. And the application is Good Deed LLC, or the applicant. They're requesting a rezoning of approximately 0.3 acres of parcel 31A-1-81, which is a total 1.5 acre parcel. They're asking for the 0.3 acres to be rezoned from R1 to B1. And additionally, the applicant is seeking approval of a use not provided for in the zoning ordinance. And that's pursuant to section 325-3.4 of the zoning ordinance, specifically to allow a tow lot business and to allow such use in the B1 zoning district, either permitted by right or subject to special exception. We've provided the board with a staff report. This covers all of the relevant information, goes over the applicable zoning ordinance provisions, provides you with the purpose and intent statement of the B1 zoning district, as well as the uses that are currently allowed in that district, both by right and by special exception. We've also provided the comprehensive plan section for that area. This area is identified as being in the Amelia Courthouse Town Center development area. We've listed the policies for that planning area. Generally, it's the county's main street area, general business area. In terms of rezoning criteria, section 325-30.1 amendments of the zoning ordinance, and its subsection G, indicates that among the factors to be taken into account in consideration of any rezoning request are the location, nature, and extent of the proposed activity or use, and the possible adverse effects of said rezoning. In many ways, that's also a similar criteria that you should evaluate when considering the use not provided for, which is essentially a text amendment to the zoning ordinance. The Planning Commission reviewed this application and recommended approval of the rezoning from R1 to B1 and amendment of the zoning ordinance to include tow lot as a permitted use by special exception in the B1 zoning district. If the amendment for the tow lot use is authorized along with the rezoning, the applicant would need to come back and seek a special exception permit for the tow lot business or tow lot use. Staff reviewed the application and as we indicate in the staff report, with respect to the rezoning, based on the zoning and use of the abutting properties, we would recommend approval of the rezoning. Rezoning to B1 would be consistent with abutting and nearby properties and allow for uses that would be more compatible with adjacent uses. It is important to note that the request that the applicant is making is not conditional zoning. Therefore, there are no proffers or commitments to the use of the property, and all uses and development rights allowed within the applicable zoning district would be eligible. With respect to the use not provided for request, staff also recommended approval of an amendment to the zoning ordinance to allow this use in the B1 zoning district as a permitted use by special exception. And we've also indicated a recommended definition for that use, which would be tow lot, a use that provides vehicle towing services and temporary storage, 30 days or less, for towed vehicles. Stored vehicles may be damaged and or in need of repair, but all stored vehicles shall be operable and maintain a current state inspection sticker, county sticker, or state vehicle tag, and shall not be dismantled or demolished. Inclusion of that use we felt was consistent with other uses in the zoning district, specifically automotive boat mechanical repair, which is also permitted in the B1 district subject to a special exception. We've provided you with several options in this case. In option 1, and what we would recommend is that you consider taking separate actions, and I believe you've listed those on your agenda. Separate action on the rezoning, and then separately considering the use not provided for. Option 1 would be approval of the rezoning to B1 and approval of amendment of the zoning ordinance. So we've broken those out as provided in the staff report with optional motions for that. Option 2 would be deferral of the application, deferral of the rezoning, and then potentially deferral of the use not provided for. And as we've provided here, referring that back to the Planning Commission potentially, and specifically their zoning committee, to flesh out some more guidelines or standards for that use. And then option 3 would be denial. And we've provided 2 options there, one for the rezoning and then one for the use not provided for. Again, kind of referring back to the guidance in the zoning ordinance. When you're considering the rezoning, you should evaluate whether the property, nature, and extent of the proposed activity or use, in consideration of the possible adverse effects of the rezoning, whether it's appropriate to rezone from R1 to B1. And similarly, you should use that evaluation factor for consideration of the use not provided for, taking into account whether that use is appropriate within the B1 zoning district. And evaluating the consistency with the purpose statement for the B1 zoning district. So I'm happy to answer any questions now or later in the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
Yes, sir.
Any board members have any questions? All right. At this time, I open the public hearing for the rezoning request from R1 to B1. Anybody wishing to speak for or against, please come up, state your name and address.
Yes, Martin Conkle, 16211 Church Street. I don't have a problem with the B1 zoning. I mean, it makes sense to put a business there to other businesses. Not an issue with that whatsoever. The problem is the exception to the tow lot. You know, we got these nice signs we put up here in the village. Welcome to the village. We got 2 nice restaurants here now. We can go out on a Friday, Saturday night, Dog State, Easy's, right? We got a subdivision, even though I think they got in some trouble because I don't see the permits on the board there the other week. Have some nice subdivisions coming over behind my house. And of course, there's the rumblings of the subdivisions coming across 360 that's being whispered about. You know, this is the main drag coming into the village. We're finally getting some nice things here. There's still a few things we need to work on. You know, we already have kind of one junkyard building up behind the Amelia bulletin monitor, a few other little blight issues, but it's getting nicer. This little nice town of ours is getting nicer. And to put a tow lot right there in our main drag, our main street, seems very counterproductive to the other investments that people are starting to put here in our area. You know, nice little business, nice little storefront, fine, but a tow lot? I used to work in transportation. They talk about a car not being there for 30 days. When my trucks got wrecked and they ended up on my lot, if there's a fatality involved, they'd be locked down for up to a year while there's being investigations. So I'm not really buying that per se, with my experience, many years in the profession. I think it's a bad idea. I think it's very going backwards when we finally have people stepping up and doing some nice things here in the village. And I don't think this is going to be a nice thing to put on our main street. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? All right, I'll close the public hearing. Hey, gentlemen, what's the board's pleasure on the rezoning from R1 to B1? Heard everything from Michael. We've heard of options.
I don't have an issue with that. I mean, that's what we want is the business.
Okay, Mr. Robinson, is that a form of a motion?
Well, if we will, can I add? Yeah, go ahead.
I do think that there was a good point brought up within the public comment there. I think there needs to be the expectation that they are only kept for 30 days. And I think I've said this in other times before, I don't think we do a good job as a county of enforcing our own laws, regulations. And that includes things that people have committed to through going through zoning. I know we've got a proposal as part of the upcoming budget process for a portion of, I think, a shared resource around I can't remember how it's labeled, like enforcement type position. And I think this is another good reason why we need to do that. But while I don't have a problem with it, I would agree with Todd on this one, that my support of it is with the expectation that nothing is staying more than 30 days. And I do share the concern of citizens' comment that I'm not quite sure how likely that is. The reason I'm okay with it though is I think we are, as Michael said, I mean, it is consistent with the other uses. As I said, we already are allowing automotive, boat, mechanical repair, contractor equipment storage yard, and other things that are aligned exactly with this. But similarly, I know we have some repair places right in the main strip of Amelia as well that have old rundown vehicles staying very, very long periods of time. It's not against the ordinance here. And it is pretty close to a blight right through the courthouse area. So,
Mr. Chair, if I may jump in briefly. So Michael's presentation included 2 items, which is the rezoning and then the text amendment. And the public hearing was just for the rezoning.
Right.
And so the text amendment would be after there's a public hearing. So just for clarification, this motion wouldn't be focusing on the tow lot or the text amendment. It's just whether or not to rezone that 0.3 acres from R1 to B1.
since their request is for both, responding to their request on.
Yes,
both, but
understood.
yes, agree, the motion
Understood.
can only be on one.
Understood.
Yes.
Okay. Was that a motion, Mr. Robinson?
Well, I mean, I can make it a motion to approve the rezoning to B1.
Okay, would you like to do that?
Yeah, we can.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to approve the property, change it from R1 to B1. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Now that brings us to the text amendment to add 2 lots into B1. We've heard on both from Michael and Danielle, so is there any question before we open the public hearing? All right, hearing none. At this time, I'll open the public hearing for the text amendment to allow tow lots in a B1 zoning. Anybody wishing to speak for or against, please come up, state your name and address. Try to keep it to 3 minutes.
I'm sorry, I forgot one thing in my point on the tow lot stuff. Drive through Powhatan, drive through Goochland. Look how those towns are. Those are pretty nice. That's what I like Amelia to be, right? I think we'd all kind of like Amelia to be a little nicer like that, right? You don't see that in Goochland and Powhatan driving down their main street. Just wanted to point that out too. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, I'll close the public hearing. All right, gentlemen, we've listened to that. We've done the rezoning from R1 to B1. What's the board's pleasure?
I'm not supporting the tow lot.
You're not?
No.
Okay.
I don't think we should have that on Main Street, even if we have something that's a repair shop or something like that. I mean, this is the heart of Amelia. When you come off of 360, this is where you drive. And if we're gonna make improvements, I don't think we should be doing that. That's just my opinion. Sir?
Looks like somebody's already set up. There's a cage of cameras and like it's already ready to go. I guess I can do that, but I just think that's kind of odd.
I could get behind it. I mean, that is the main street of Amelia. We've already got one place up the road that we're constantly trying to get cleaned up, and it is progression.
Slowly.
Slowly.
Can I ask Daniel a question?
Sure.
So related to this, are there two separate things too? We could add this as a option of a special exception within B1. That doesn't necessarily mean we grant the exception for this particular requester. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, you would, if you wanted to, if the board approved that, then it would be a text amendment allowing tow lots as a part of B1, which means that that lot could be used for towing. But it's by special exception, so the applicant would have to come back before the planning commission and the board, asking for that special permit and any conditions that the board and commission would put on that if it were approved.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so it is a two-step process. Long
Yeah, I
answer
should be
to
clear,
get to you.
clear with that because I think there is the difference of saying we don't want it in that location versus saying we don't want anything in B1 to ever have a tow lot.
One more time, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Saying that, like we're saying that location, not to have one versus saying we don't make the change in the ordinance. If we to not allow anyone in any B1, we could put it into the ordinance and say it's allowed as a special exception for B1.
Yes.
But then when that comes through, we don't have to approve it for this particular location, correct? Because it is a special exception.
That's correct.
Yeah.
The only caveat is, of course, you would, if there are any sort of impacts that you think that the project creates, then you would be able to impose conditions on it. And so if you have issues and you think it can be corrected by those conditions, and could approve it, but otherwise, if you think you can't make it compatible, then no, which is different than allowing it by right, which is what Michael and Planning Commission, I think that option was before them, and they decided that if anything, it would be by special use.
Yeah,
or
I
special
definitely don't
exception.
support by right. Yeah, I totally agree, not by right.
We could just drop it and the next person who wants to do it can bring it up again, right? Whether it's there or somewhere else.
What do you mean drop this?
Deny it or
not do anything with it.
Yes, you don't have to approve the text amendment, and it can just be the uses that are already allowed.
How close is this to the well?
That's a good little ways. I'm not sure about the runoff to it.
Yeah. 'Cause
I
we would do well protection and all that. I mean, that's stuff we need to be thinking about. I don't know what the distance is.
I agree with Mr. Easter about the special exceptions and we can put different stipulations on it. But I feel we're trying to get businesses here. And we all may not agree on the location, but what's the next location that has a B1? And if we put it in as that, it's gonna hurt other businesses. I'm fine with leaving it out of the B1 myself, but that's just my opinion. Because, I mean, we do want, not that this is not a good business, don't take me wrong. We want businesses like retails and stuff that employ people and.
That's the point, is that right? The point of zoning is you want different businesses in different places. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah. I'm not
This is
convinced
the-
either. That's the point of the conversation, of having the conversation on it. Yeah.
It's, the location didn't, in my opinion, isn't the best for that.
Well, and if they've begun building in anticipation of this, that, I will say that bothers me too. I don't know why anyone would do that and make a foregone conclusion that it's automatically going to be approved.
You have any thoughts, Mr. Morris? Well, what's the pleasure, gentlemen?
I move to deny the text amendment for the tow lot business.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor to deny the text amendment of adding tow lots to the B1. Did I say that right, Danielle?
Yes.
Oh, that's what's on the floor. Is there any more discussion? All right. All those in favor of the motion to not allow tow lots in B1, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Brings us to second special exception permit for an assembly hall. Michael, you're up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a special exception permit SEP 2024-07. The applicants are Weston and Lori Hinden, and the request is for a special exception permit to operate an assembly hall use at the property located off of Five Forks Road, identified as tax map 42-84 and address as 15901 Five Forks Road. The assembly hall use is permitted by special exception in the Rural Residential 3 RR3 zoning district per section 325-8.3 of the zoning ordinance. Additionally, per section 325-3.14 in the RR3 zoning district, a special exception permit is required to conduct any permitted use that exceeds 2 permitted uses per parcel. The assembly hall, in addition to the single-family dwelling and a home occupation conducted on the property, would constitute 3 uses conducted on the property. So again, we've provided you with a staff report, the applicable zoning provisions, including the purpose and intent statement for the RR3 zoning district, the zoning ordinance definition of assembly hall, as well as the setback requirements for the district. The comprehensive plan, this area is designated as rural and agricultural preservation area, and we've provided the policies and strategies for that area in the staff report. We've also provided some other relevant goals and objectives and strategies pertaining to community character and vision, agriculture, forestry, and natural resources, and economic development. The zoning ordinance contains standards, guidelines and standards pertaining to special exception permits. That's in section 325-4.2. A special exception may be approved by the governing body only if it is permitted as a special exception in the zoning district, which it is in this case. That the location is appropriate and not in conflict with the comprehensive plan and the statement of intent for the district in which it is located. That the public health, safety, and general welfare will not be adversely affected. That necessary safeguards will be provided for the protection of surrounding property, persons, and neighborhood values, and that the additional standards as set by the governing body have been complied with. And then there are some additional standards that apply to special exception permits regarding the continued operation of them, the expiration of them, and inspection of the property and the like. Planning Commission reviewed this and recommended approval with conditions as recommended by staff, except that the commission recommended that the number of allowed guests in condition 2 be increased from 75 to 100, and that condition 3, limiting the number of events to 24 in any calendar year, not be imposed. Staff's recommendation, both the assembly hall and conducting more than 2 uses on the property are permitted in RR3 with the issuance of a special exception permit. To ensure that the uses as proposed to be located are not in conflict with the comprehensive plan or the statement of intent in the RR3 zoning district, and that public health, safety, and general welfare will not be adversely affected, and that necessary safeguards will be provided for the protection of surrounding property, persons, and neighborhood values, we would recommend to the board that if you are considering approval, that you do so with conditions. And we've recommended 6 conditions. One would indicate that the proposed use be developed in general conformity with the layout plan provided, that events conducted on the property be limited to a maximum of 75 guests. And again, the Planning Commission recommended that that be increased to 100. That events shall be limited to a maximum of 24 within any calendar year. And again, the Planning Commission recommended that that condition not be imposed. That events shall be prohibited between the hours of 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, and between the hours of 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Condition 5, while the special exception permit is valid and exercised, that the permit holder landowner shall allow reasonable administrative inspections by the zoning administrator, and that the zoning administrator provide no less than 7 days notice. Prior to commencement, and this is condition 6, prior to commencement of the assembly hall use, the permit holder landowner shall apply for and receive a zoning permit as well as a building permit and/or change of use occupancy classification if necessary. Application and issuance of a zoning permit shall be subject to the following: submission of a parking plan, ensuring that no vehicles will be parked in the right-of-way of 5 Forks Road, and that there is safe egress/ingress for vehicles accessing the property and circulating the property. That VDOT has reviewed and approved all ingress/egress points proposed to be used in association with the assembly hall use, and that the Department of Health has reviewed the proposed use and identified any operational or licensing requirements. We've provided you with 3 options for action and motions. Option 1 would be approval with conditions. Option 2, deferral, and option 3, denial of the application. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes, sir.
The Planning Commission, the one that stuck out the most was the 24 events per calendar. We've never put that on any type of venue. I know when we did the Booker family, we didn't have any, and even right up the road at the fairgrounds, they can have one every week. So that's why we took that out. And then they just felt right giving them a little leeway to get from 75 to 100. I think they said they could park 35 vehicles, half of 75. That's what the Planning Commission said. Any questions? All right, I'll open the public hearing for the special exception request for the Assembly Hall on 5 Forks Road. Anybody wish to speak for or against the project? Please come up, state your name and address, and try to keep it to 3 minutes.
Tony Winstead, my lovely wife, Monica. We live at 8,000 Hamilton Landing, so we're not directly contiguous to the property, but we are in close proximity. And we'd like to speak for, as we were speaking a minute ago, we're looking for business growth, but also to maintain the rural character of our beautiful county. And I think this special use is consistent with that. Again, I understand it's going to be an event type, weddings, et cetera. So when you think about families coming in for events, they're going to use our hotels. They're going to eat in our restaurants, provided the, permits and parking establishment in the DOT ingress and egress, I don't see anything inconsistent with the county's plan for growth to deny such a special use. Again, it's a simple third use of a property. I think the second use was simply having a business at home. Many of us do. So a third use, I don't think is inconsistent or, going to be detrimental to any other use of the property. That's my thoughts. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, sir.
Not sure I need this. I've got a fairly good voice. I'm Weston Hinden, 15901 Five Forks Road. Please apologize for or accept my apologies for a little bit of a raspy voice. So you've heard the recommendation from the Planning Commission. I'm going to speak just a little bit from somebody that sits out there. Going through the Planning Commission, we heard that there's beyond two uses, we need another permit. And then there's this aspect of, the terminology, assembly hall. Forgive me. I'm not building an assembly hall. I'm not trying to, we wish to house events. They will be done either through a tent or a pavilion in open air. So for the benefit of the people that may have seen the advertisement in the paper and this, and the assembly hall terminology is, at best vague for them. And, I'm glad, I guess, in some respects, nobody's come up and kind of provided any pushback, but I just wanted to truly make everything clear and on the record what it is that you would be approving and what the county and the community would be getting. It wouldn't be a raw metal building with one door and one light, and it's an assembly hall and business is conducted. That's nowhere near what we intend to do. But Michael felt that it was the best terminology, best category to fold into Amelia's zoning verbiage for us and potentially for future people in order to share their property, to have a gathering on the property. I've got a neighbor just down the road. I won't share names. Good golly, you should see that place when there's a football game or a family event. I don't know if they get a special permit for the amount of people that they can put in their home and park, and they do it quite well. But it's crazy to think that you can go from driving by property and see 3-4 vehicles there and then 30 or 50. And it's not scary, but they do it really well. And I'm assuming that they've done it for a long time really well because they're a long time resident. We're not. We're here 2 years. Not coming here to upset anybody's apple cart. We're not trying to do anything other than thrive in Amelia and share what we have, share what we wish to create, and to give people options to gather, to come to Amelia, or already if you're here, just drive down the road and you can have a nice, clean event in a very picturesque, beautiful setting. Lots of things I could say, but I'm not here to sell. I'm here to just simply explain to the community to make sure that what this assembly hall is. It's just simply sharing a beautiful property with the community. So you've heard the recommendations. Parking, we'll be happy to comply. We've got level three ingress egress on 38. I worked my butt off on my frontage with very little help from our local guys in yellow. It's important for me. I understand construction extremely well. Drainage, positive drainage, negative drainage. There's a lot of things that go into not just creating something, but making sure that what you've created can withstand Mother Nature. Snow, ice, all those things that factor in. So we'd be very willing to comply, to provide. But we've got a nice existing setup, existing 3 entrances, egress, ingress, egress, that were already on the property and we're just enhancing them and making them better and positive flow. And so if anybody would have any specific questions to the recommendations, I'll be happy to answer them now or in the future.
I'll give you one. If anybody has any questions, the second business was a contracting office.
Yeah, that's the other aspect of this third use. Okay. I'm a Class A contractor. And you put a lot of time into the license, your reputation. But the reality is I'm transitioning, not as the world might think today. Lord Jesus, no. So here's the thing. I'm 6'7" and I work hard and I want to do something a little bit differently, but I don't want to abandon my license. I still keep a license with the county. So because of that, it's a use. I don't conduct business in I have a home office, but so that's where this third component is factored into, because I have a business license in the community. So if I didn't do that, but I still kept my Class A contractor's license, I'm not exactly sure how that worked, but I chose to, participate, and I seem to be good sense to just get a license because I am a contractor. And if I do something, then hey, I'm covered. It's not a big deal. So that too, I believe, has been confusing to the public and even to the Planning Commission board as to what this third, why was there a need for a third use? So I guess my choice to keep that license active compounded it. So the assembly hall is the third, which constitutes all the above for a special exemption permit.
Thank you, sir. Sure.
I just want to compliment you on the third use. I think you're following all the rules and expectations very, very well. So I don't know, you mentioned hubbub. No hubbub to me. I think it's great.
Yeah,
Assembly hall is our normal definition. We've gone through this many times. It's actually very, very clear. So I just want to compliment you. All that's great. No problems from me whatsoever. I have one unrelated question to any of that part. The application says all the structures are existing at the time. So this, I'll say assembly hall, because that's what we're talking about. Yeah, we know we're talking about now, same thing. That already exists on the property too?
Well, no. So currently right now we have a large pavilion, let's just be real, a large timber frame carport that is attached. Herman Gill, bless his heart, he left me with a lot of things to do. God help that man.
Used to work for them.
Been working, what little I have back here off for 2 years, and I'm not done. So we strive for perfection when it comes to the way things look. So that is in existence. We have a small pond pavilion at Water's Edge. We have another site, which if you've gone through some of the paperwork, there's a tent site that's close to the water down on the side. I have 2 tents that we've talked about, the permitting process and all of that. So there's potential of open air, small pavilion, the larger place closer to our structure, and then the freestanding flat tent site. I am being strongly encouraged by a lovely bride who recognizes the effort that it takes to put tents up and down and up and down. And she strongly encouraged me to just go ahead and build a nice matching pavilion on that pad so that we don't have the on and off, up and down permit process and an inspection for tents in and out. And we would use the tents as rain day, you know, if they've got to hold it, and that way I've got this option to put up on the flat, closer to the house, closer to bathrooms, and use that as a rain day usage. So pending your approval, we'll be chasing you next door with a building permit so that we can go ahead and put in an open air, you know, pavilion down there, because it's just gonna make more sense. At 61, I'm not getting any younger. So
Nice to hear. Sometimes it's nice to just hear it out loud. It's a little clearer. So
yeah, that, you know, so it would be open air. There wouldn't be sides to it. We would have the option to hang those bridal looking sides, you know, for inclement weather, but they still want to be held down there. So we do own those where we can, you know, put sides up and still ensure a pleasant event, despite what the weather might bring.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else? Thank
You
you.
said you had 3 accesses, 3 roads coming in?
Yes. So I don't know what you're looking at, but so we've got,
The area.
Can I come?
Google? Yeah, help me out.
This drawing.
Yeah, I saw that.
so, where are we? Over here, this driveway right here, this is McMillan's driveway. Right on this side here is an old road grade. It comes down and serves the dry hydrant. That's the one you don't see a lot because all the cedars had basically grown up in there it's right on the, okay. So I upgraded the culvert, and that is one brassy, but it's got number 3s and 21s all, you know, crushed in. The main one is right here, which is our driveway. Further up towards the village, it's not really completely visible here. There's a telephone pole right close to the road, which is right at our property on the line between us and McMillan. It's the west side of 38. And that is an old cut in that was there. It's right at the apex of the hill.
So I mean, are you gonna tie the other 2 roads in together so they can like loop through, or what are you gonna do there?
I have a road and culverts across this end of the dam. The dam was completely rebuilt, thanks to beavers and muskrats. Gotta love them. So we put all that effort in, and so I have the potential of going all the way around on the backside of the pond, coming across the dam, exiting by the little store, that cedar tree line, leaving the old dry hydrant road. The main loop by the building, gosh, I don't know, I could park probably the 25 cars just right there. In the other documents off of the map, we had an area marked in yellow. I have gone through that area. If any of you drive or travel Five Forks, you've seen me out there. Improving, I'll say, just the grade, the shoulder. We've got nice hollies going all the way down the road. And we've done that in such a way that we can come in and go with nose-in parking towards our Pines, as well as turning back out towards 38 in between the Hollies. And I can probably fit 25 there. And then if I opened up other areas down in my Pines and the road that goes down, there's just all kinds of places. I live at a fishbowl. I can't even go outside and cheat with, because it's completely open. And everything that we have is done well and graded well. So, come hell or high water, I could probably park 100 vehicles there and still get them in and out safely. We're not interested in really big gatherings. So we chose the 35-ish vehicle number, depending upon how many come in a car, 3 to 4, carpooling. Who knows what the total number is going to be for each event. That's all going to be predicated by who comes. And are they going to come individually, 2-door car, 4-door car? But I have got plenty of place to put them safely and to get them out safely.
But you are comfortable with that 100 number? I know that's an increase.
Oh,
from
yes.
what you originally stated.
Yes, yeah.
That's not a problem.
We would not want to be advertising for weddings of 150 people or two. No.
Okay.
We want to be a small event. We want smaller gatherings, your reunions, your birthdays, your weddings that are a nice, comfortable number that we can handle and that we can ensure that their expectations are met. So, no, I don't want to go over that. I truly appreciate the Planning Commission extending it from 75 to 100 because it's what's already written in the zoning verbiage. So I appreciate that very much, or we do. And as well as the events. We very much appreciate the unrestricted number of events because we have no idea exactly what's going to constitute an event. It's very difficult to quantify, and I think we'd be entering into a much different conversation if we started to try to define certain things other than just using our good, I don't want to say common sense, but I'll use it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? All right, I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Easter, you want to do this one? You had a lot of comments.
I know, sorry.
I'm not sorry. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in your district too, isn't it? Is that in your district?
It's right. It's the line goes right through there. So it just moved past mine.
Sorry.
Get right past I moved my page past the line, but yes, I will. Just one second. I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the special exception permit with the, sorry, I just lost it. With the, let's say
With maximum of 100 guests?
Yeah, I just want to make the change. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. With their proposed with their proposed conditions, except removing the one on the limitations of the number of events per year and increasing the number of participants to 100.
Okay.
Sorry, we weren't all the same. So many pages. Thank you.
You good? All right, gentlemen, there's a motion on the floor to approve the Assembly Hall special exception permit with the 2 exceptions, 100 people guests and unlimited events. That kind of concise it.
Yes, just to be clear, with we're leaving the other conditions as proposed in place.
Okay. Everybody understand what you're voting on? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. We've already done the road sign discussion. Appointments and vacancy update. Staff provided us a list of vacancies on some committees. I think we kind of just said we would look at it over the next couple and have it ready for March. I think Mr. Morris has a couple, you have one you want to do in March, so. All right, and just remind everybody. Okay. And we still go require the bio?
Or any new ones.
For new ones.
For any new ones, yeah.
Okay, and if we go get those out prior to the meeting, if we go plan on taking an action at the meeting?
That is the goal.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think we need to, yeah, I'm sorry, never mind. Yeah, good.
All right. Mr. Monday, take it away.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, just a few reports to keep you and the public updated. The waste management check for the month was $212,133. And per the direction of the board, I did get with a treasurer, and she had our clerk provide some documentation of what your board action was to set up the fund for those funds to flow into. The finance department and the treasurer knows that you want to keep a check on the cash flow and make sure it doesn't interfere with the cash on hand or the general fund or anything, because it's a new process the board's doing. So just wanted to let you know that we will keep a check on that for you. And then those monthly deposits will be going in as the board specifies.
Thank you.
The Commonwealth Regional Council, the CRC report is in your board packet. The one thing that I wanted to talk just a minute about is the comprehensive plan for the county. That is still progressing. It takes a few months to put all that together. There were over 500 surveys that ended up being submitted. They said it's the most they've ever had from any community. And that input is crucial. The committee that's looking at this and the CRC staff, they will use that feedback as a foundation to go into the final comp plan draft that will make its way to the Planning Commission and then to the Board of Supervisors for final approval. But that committee continues reviewing the sections now, and we appreciate all the planning commissioners that are a part of that process. It is a big task and an important function. And you notice how that articulates back to the zoning code and the land use choices that you make as a board. And then the DMV Select, it was another busy month for that office, despite all the weather delays and the closures. Our citizens were really patient. And that is a service that our people expect. And it is a good service for the county and not having to travel so far for those DMV transactions. And Mr. Chairman, that's it. If any board member has any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer those. And we will look for those board appointments that you want to make so we can get those on the March agenda. We are putting the draft agenda together now because we'll be doing the agenda review a week from tomorrow with that board meeting coming up in just a few weeks.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Monday.
Yeah.
Joel.
That's
This will make the third deposit action, right? It was.
I believe that's right. We're not sure if we intercepted the first one or not because of the timing. It's
Second landfill or something.
No, we're not. He's saying we're not
solar.
sure the solar went in. We're not sure if the last month's went in, but this one did and the solar went in. We're not sure about January's check, so.
He's right.
I think it did go in. I think it did after we took action on it. So I think it did.
I was curious. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, anybody else got anything for the betterment of this board or the county?
Yeah, I need to make, are we into the supervisor comments yet?
We are now, Mr.
I thought you were gonna skip it. That's why I didn't want to get in
I
trouble.
won't go skip it.
All right.
Well, go
Lead
first.
off then.
Go first,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Roberts.
Mr. Chairman. I was instructed by the treasurer to remind everybody that the real estate tax sale is up on the county website. So if anybody wants to look at it, it's up live and running. I did my chore.
Anything else?
Thank you. No, sir, that's it.
Nothing else?
No, sir, that's it.
Mr. East.
I'll remind everyone then that the personal property tax forms have been mailed out to citizens. It is a requirement to turn those back in, or there is a penalty fee for those. And it is not our goal to see that people have to pay those fees, so please return them to return them to the Commissioner of Revenue's office. And if you believe that your vehicle is eligible for a reduction in the assessed value due to high mileage, then you do have to provide evidence of that for the reduction in your assessment, and therefore reduction in your taxes.
Mr. Morris?
I'd say pray for Mr. Pollock. Thank you that he, and to pray and praise that we got him. Look forward to that. Make sure y'all come out. Meeting when he gets here. We will have town halls coming up next couple of months. Make your way out to one of them. I think we're gonna try to put them different dates so people can hit up. If you got any questions, call and email us. We're here for y'all.
Do you want to do a shout out for me today?
I was going to come back to one thing, but not going to do it. It's coming up a month, but I'm going to do one in the meantime. For our next board meeting, I forgot, we will have the tractor parade before the next board meeting. Before we'll have our workshop, but before the next monthly meeting. So the tractor parade, what's gotten to be a good now annual tradition for the county, will be on March 15th at 2 p.m. Following that will be a free community event at Paulette Park, where the fairgrounds are, and encourage people to come out to that as well. And food trucks, live music, games, and a lot of agricultural displays and activities there too. And offer our thoughts and prayers to Dexter Jones as well in his recovery.
Yes. One other thing, David, what was it? What's it called?
Small Business Development Center.
Longwood SBC.
If there's any businesses out here that are looking to come to Amelia, the Longwood Development, Small Business Development Center, and I didn't even know they did this, but they have a good spreadsheet to where they're doing a vehicle count for the roads around here, which is very good information for businesses. I'm done.
Chambers.
Thank you.
Chambers thing is what I was afraid.
Oh, they had something else.
Oh, come on. What is it? What registration?
All right. Heck, I done lost what I done wanted to say.
That's all right.
We took all the good stuff.
We
before it got-
took all the good stuff. Let's enjoy these warm days. And will be one more meeting. We'll be thanking Mr. Monday for his service. He likes doing puzzles. Jigsaw puzzles. So if somebody could find the biggest puzzle you could find that would take him a little bit longer, that he could hang around and just gives us more of his wisdom. But if we don't have anything else, I'll motion to adjourn. All right. Before I call for the vote, we all know the schedule for our next workshop. Yep, we'll make sure we're straight. All right, all in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye. Motion adjourned. Thank you.
$1,000 piece price for about 3 months.